Today, when we look at the map, the lands we call Greece, its islands, and the Aegean basin are known as the cradle of some of history's most deeply rooted, most brilliant civilizations. Ancient Greece, philosophers, mythology, magnificent temples. But who were the true first owners of these lands? Thousands of years before the Hellenic civilization that history books tell us about took the stage, who was breathing life into this geography? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of history's greatest mysteries. We'll trace the footsteps of the Pelasgians, uncover how the Greeks arrived in these lands, and examine the great encounter that changed the fate of the Aegean. From 3000 BC onward, the Aegean world was the stage of massive civilizations at the heart of the eastern Mediterranean trade routes. First, we encounter the Minoan civilization of Crete, a maritime empire without walls, peaceful, enriched by sea trade, and the owner of the still undeciphered linear script. Then, on the Peloponnese Peninsula, the warrior Mycenaeans rise. Inheriting Cretan culture and blending it with their own style, the legendary Achaeans of the Trojan War. Troy, a strategic bridge at the Dardanelles, and the Cycladic civilization, famous for the Aegean's mystical marble figurines. But this magnificent picture would be buried in a dark age around 1200 BC, along with the sea peoples, migrations, earthquakes, and economic collapse. So who lay at the paradigm-shifting origin of these civilizations? Let's turn to the father of history, Herodotus, and the author of the epics, Homer. Herodotus says that the oldest name of Greece was Pelasgia. In other words, before the Greeks arrived, Greece was the land of the Pelasgians. The Pelasgians were an indigenous people who spoke a language completely different from Greek, one not of Indo-European origin, a people with a wandering spirit, yet capable, once settled, of massive construction works, Argos, Larissa, and the giant Pelasgian walls. Here's a remarkable detail worth noting. In 1885, a stele found in the village of Kaminia on the island of Lemnos shocked scholars with its inscriptions. Because this language bore an extraordinary resemblance to Etruscan letters and language. Linguists say Etruscan is an agglutinative language. These traces lead us to a very old thesis, one not accepted by the majority of academic circles today, but still debated. According to Adil Ada and some researchers of her era, the Pelasgians and Etruscans were ancient peoples whose origins stretched back to Asia and Proto-Turkic communities, who came to the Mediterranean from the north. Homer's description of the Pelasgians as divine, in the Iliad, and the fact that their leaders had myths of descending from the sky, make this debated connection all the more intriguing. While the Pelasgians lived peacefully in these lands for 1,000 years, in the early 2000s BC a new migration wave surged in from the north, from the Pontic Caspian steppes and across the Balkans, the Greeks, Hellenes. These Indo-European Proto-Greek tribes, first the Achaeans, and centuries later, around 1200 BC, the Dorians, entered the Greek peninsula in successive waves. Arriving with a warrior character, this new community merged with the indigenous Pelasgian population, gradually assimilated them, and blended their languages. The Greeks brought their own language, but they also inherited many words, gods, and architectural traditions from the native Pelasgian language and culture. As Herodotus explicitly states, the Greeks were originally a weak nation, and only became a great civilization after mixing with the indigenous peoples here, especially the Pelasgians. Summary: the magnificent Greek civilization that stands at the foundation of the Western world did not emerge from a void. That civilization is the product of a millennia-long, massive integration between the Greek tribes that came from the north and the Pelasgians, the oldest natives of the Aegean, who left their mark through their language and their construction skills. History is not black and white. History is an immense story of the mosaicing of peoples, languages, and cultures. So what do you think? How much of the truth do we really know about the mystery of the Pelasgians and these complex origins of the Aegean? Let's meet in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, in the dusty pages of history, take care.